people say, when is the right time? I mean, there is never a right time. I mean, let me put it this way. The right time is actually now. If you have an idea and if you believe in yourself and the team that you've got, you should just go for it. This is Anurag Avula. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Shopmatic. Welcome to Backstage with Millionaires. In this episode, I will walk you through my journey from PayPal to Shopmatic. Right, so starting from the very beginning, I think with three co-founders, all of us were ex-PayPal. So we were working at PayPal running the Asia Pac franchise for PayPal generally across the different markets within Asia Pacific. So at that point in time, one of the big things that we did come across were customers who really wanted to go online, but really didn't know how to. And so they would say, PayPal brings to us a payments platform, but what about my online store? What about social selling? What about marketplaces? What about shipping? And the likes. And there were a couple of players as well within the ecosystem trying to operate that, but nothing really focused on the emerging market space or, for the matter, Asia Pac. So that got us thinking about, what should we be doing? Where can we take this? And is there something that we can actually try and work towards to help the smaller sellers become successful? So sort of that became the rallying purpose for us, for the three of us to sort of put our heads together and say, maybe we should try and do something to help sellers become successful, not just about taking them online, but also to see how we can make them successful. So I think there were a couple of challenges and constraints that we realized that the customers actually had. One primarily being technology know-how, in the sense that how do I understand HTML, coding, and all of that. So we wanted to sort of make sure that when we build something, we remove that dependency on anyone understanding technology. The other thing was the entire ecosystem that sort of works around e-commerce as such is a little gray or a little more challenging for people to understand in terms of what are payment gateways, what are MDRs, what are the API keys, merchant credentials, and the like. So it complicates life. So again, on the lines of shipping, how do I price for shipping? What happens when I do cross-border? So there are inherent real-world problems that people have. I mean, it's easy to say one thing that we want to take you online, but then how do you, resolve all the other multiple challenges that come with it? And the other sort of final element that we were considering at that point was when an e-commerce or a new e-commerce guy or a new seller wants to get onto the e-commerce platform, they really need to have a hand-holding process to be able to support them in their journey, either from taking them through the journey of getting them set up, or even giving them somebody on the other end of the line to give them more support, more comfort that they can actually, you can actually do this yourself, and we'll help you to get successful. So coupled with all of that, we sort of started to think about, is there something that we could build with our learnings of the market that we had. So I think one of the big things for us was PayPal gave us a great grounding in terms of e-commerce and fintech and the markets that we were operating in and the challenges. So PayPal was new to India, was new to China, was new to Southeast Asia, and that sort of gave us a sense of what are the customers really looking for. And there are solutions in the market, work differently, but mostly tailored for the developed market. So we wanted to bring that focus in terms of localization and regionalization of the solution. So that sort of got us thinking, and that we started thinking about it in sometime around June of 2014. That's while we were still at PayPal, but just generally ideating about it and figuring it out. And I think it's and then we came in, did all the exploratory work, met with people on the ground, the different types of sellers who could possibly become customers to our product, and did a lot of groundwork on that before we said, okay, it looks like there's some, there is a market, there is an opportunity, there is something that we can actually build. And then I think, and as you start your entrepreneurship journey, there is, people say, when is the right time? There is never a right time. Let me put it this way. The right time is actually now. If you have an idea and if you believe in yourself and the team that you've got, you should just go for it. Everything else, because at some point, the universe will sort of conspire to make it work for you, rather than waiting for the right time and then trying to make that jump. So anyone who asks me, that's my general take. So that's the one thing. The second thing is there is always, I also, advise folks that, when you're trying to set out something, there is always a courage in numbers, right? So if you do it alone, there are different challenges, or if you do it with a couple of co-founders, there's always someone there to lift you up, and you will never find that every day is going to be a great day. The romance of the startup or being that is always there, because at the end of the day, the destination or the journey is what you need to enjoy. So when you're enjoying the journey, you will ensure that there will be times when things will go completely haywire, and you will have the unexpected almost happen at more occasions than you can ever dream of. And the idea is that how do you get through it? And of course, while you all believe in yourself and the team, you will have times when you're feeling so terribly down that you will depend on your co-founder to say, hey, you know what, we'll find a way to work this through. And that's essentially all it takes, because then you will then find solutions, and you will get by. So anyway, coming back to the whole idea and the story, so I think the three of us sort of got together and said, okay, this makes sense. Let's go figure this out, and we'll find a way to back ourselves. And then we started to build the product. We did a lot of research work, obviously, to validate what our learnings were. And we spent a lot of time. So one of the things that we did was we involved customers or potential customers in the product build, because essentially we were tailoring the product for them. So I think we got people into it through focus groups and stuff, and started making sure that their experiences were captured or their needs were captured when we started to build the product, so that the concept of product market fit sort of gets a little more easier when you bring customers along the journey, rather than it's my idea, let me go put it out there and then see what happens in the market and then calibrate. And so we continue to calibrate, continue to iterate. And one of the underlying philosophies that we have as a company is that we always aim to have the sense of being in a good way, in a positive way, to be consciously incompetent, right? To see that where can we get better, because the ones if you're supremely confident about your own abilities, that's when downfall happens. So for us, every year, as we call it, is a beta year for us, and that's how we started out. And I think we were when we started out, we set ourselves to be a global entity and not just focus on a couple of markets. So while we're a Singapore-centered company or headquartered in Singapore, the market that we launched first was in India, right? So I mean, obviously that said, why are you doing it in India? Why you should be in Singapore? The Singapore guys would ask you that, but the point was that we wanted to be in a market that was actually craving for a solution like this. India has that. India has also the opportunity to really make a difference, and I think so. We focused on that. Then we are in Singapore 6 months later. Then followed Hong Kong, and then last year we did in the Middle East as well. So the idea is that we want to build a global platform that allows sellers of the similar-ish nature to be able to leverage the platform and build for that. And again, when we work with the team that we have, everybody has a global experience. Everyone's worked in larger organizations. So we actually work towards setting the groundwork right up front to build for a long-term play, and not look for a short-term piece of the pie and do shortcuts and stuff like that. So I think that's my other advice that I give people, and always work, if you're backing yourself, you have a great idea, you have a fantastic team, then work towards the long term and not just for something that you will get some results in the next couple of years and be out of it. So when we started, right, we set a very loose destination to say, okay, 5 to 7 years is when we think we should be able to get there. We're in our fourth year of operations, and we're still nowhere near where we want to be in terms of our aspirations. I think that's something that we're working towards. So those fundamental philosophies actually give you the grounding as to how do you want to build a company. I mean, if you can say that I want to be a Singapore-centric company or an India-centric company, then your models and everything else are tailored for that. But if you set your sights and say, okay, I want to be a global player, then everything that you do from day one is geared towards that. So you build for scale, you build for capabilities, you build the team around that who understand the larger global play. And I think that's something which we've seen. So I think one of the big things that we did was we were very transparent. So everybody knows just about everything that happens within the company. So that allows that brings in a sense of ownership to people as well, to say that, okay, I know what's happening and I want to contribute and I want to be a part of that. So but there again, it goes back to the right passion and the right purpose as to why people have joined. So one of the learnings that I had I as a passion, one of my hobbies, is I'm very passionate about Formula One. So the last 10, 11 years, I've been actually volunteering at the Formula One at Singapore Grand Prix. So one of the learnings from there is that there is about 1,200 volunteers who actually are there, and they're volunteers. By definition, they don't get paid. They don't have there is a wonderful system of teamwork that happens. And the way it works is that you're precision, right? You have cars going around the circuit at 300 kilometers an hour. And there is a debris on the track, and a marshal has to go out. He doesn't know where the cars are. It's only the ones who are sitting in race control who are able to view where the cars are. And he is going to go on the radio and tell his guy on the ground who's on the radio that you have to go scramble and get that debris from the track, and they will say that you have 20 seconds, and the guy who's going on the ground has to trust every single element that actually comes through, that they've got, his back is protected. And if he doubts the fact that the guy who is telling me to go and do this, then he's never going to go out, and the race is going to get impacted, and everybody down the line has an impact. He has an impact on everything that happens. But on the other hand, if you put yourself in the guy's shoes, know that he's got to go out. There's a car going to come by at 300 kilometers. He just can't get out of the way, but he has got to trust everything that's happening, that they have got his back and everything is protected. Everyone's working towards that common objective, and this implicit and tremendous amount of trust that happens with it, right? And it's just clockwork. There are different teams, and the way it works, the different teams just do their jobs, and everything else sort of comes together beautifully. So I think one of that whole piece, is the fact that if there is passion for why people are there, that overrides every other issue or a challenge that comes through. So I make it a point that, at every point in time that, when we're interviewing people, we're checking for passion, we're checking for attitude, we're trying to see, okay, what are you doing this for? And at the end of the day, we have a great bunch of people, so they've all come in with that common purpose, that we want to help the small seller become successful. So for me, the stories that I value most are when someone writes to you and say that, thank you, Shopmatic, because of you, I've been able to get a couple of orders, and I've really changed my life about how I can do it. And whether it's a homemaker baking cookies or doing art or whatever else, it's just an avenue for them to, do something with their life. It's not so much about how much money they make, while that is important for some sellers, and we want to be able to support that. It's also true that some of them are not doing it for the money. They're doing it for the ability to express their passion or their creativity in whatever they have. And I think for us to be able to provide a platform that supports them in that direction is the aha moment, is sort of gives you. So I have, there are a couple of examples for me that there's a entity in Nainital who brings in all the rural women there to build craft for them, and then he puts it on the platform and sells it. And to me, he's doing it for a purpose. He's doing it for a purpose to be able to do that and support the women who are sort of underserved or underprivileged within the community there. And he's able to give them a platform for them to be able to make a living. But at least it's a fact that, and that sort of is where gives me the reasons and further cements the reasons as to why we started Shopmatic. There are two college kids from Singapore who went to jungle in India, and they went and saw tribal villages doing art. So they came back and built their entire platform for them, did the piece, but put the art of those tribals onto the platform. So it's an avenue for them. And I think those are stories that sort of make us, cements the fact that we're doing this, and it's finding and it's resonating to the right people at whom we wanted to help. So that passion is what I think drives everybody in the company, the fact that we can actually make this happen for sellers. At the end of the day, we are not, that obviously drives it. Of course, we have to be commercial in nature as well, and I think that sort of plays out to the fact. But the commercial piece, as I said earlier, is an outcome rather than, everything else. So we do the right things for the right reasons, and at some point the results will follow for us on that front. So I think that's where we went, and I think as the product evolved, we realized that we started off with a web-based browser platform. We then realized that in markets like India, you need to be able to leverage the smartphone. So we launched an app that now we see customers coming from about 250 plus cities and towns and villages in India to come in and use the platform. So that's sort of gone down well. And in continuing with our purpose, we've actually brought in something called Shopmatic World that exhibits all our merchants' products onto a particular platform for discoverability. So we were keen to have a platform that allows merchants to be discoverable, or their products and their stories to be discoverable, essentially, because each of our merchants have their own unique story. Just like Shopmatic has its own story about how it started and what it's doing, we recognize that each business or a seller has a unique story that we wanted to highlight, because the stories tug at you, and they sort of make sense of why they're doing what they're doing, and how can we support them in that journey. And I think that's a platform that we provide for our merchants to be discoverable, and it allows buyers to come in. So it helps in two ways. One is it articulates a story for merchants, and there is always a cause behind it, and I think people want sort of connect with that, and then want to sort of be a part of that story. And I think then that's how they look at buying on Shopmatic world. But also from sellers who don't quite get digital marketing or SEO, it becomes a nice platform, that because we are helping them bring customers to them, and at the end of the day they find success through us. And I think that sort of fits in towards our core purpose as well. So where we are today is we are at 50,000 customers today as we speak across India, Singapore, Hong Kong and UAE. We will be at 500,000 customers by the end of March of 2020. That's a great growth for us, and there are interesting imminent things coming on its way in the next couple of months. We should be able to explore and put that out in the market, and we are hoping that it will change the way e-commerce is done within India. And I think that's something which we're very, very excited about, very bullish about, because we feel that we've seemed to have hit the right formula for this, and we should get there. From an employee perspective, we are about 50 odd people at this point in time. We are spread across India, Singapore and UAE, and we should be going closer to about the 75-80 mark in the next 12-15 months in terms of that. Though that said, that's largely from to be able to support customer growth and the scale that we have, moving from 50,000 customers to 500,000 customers is a 10x growth, and we want to be in a position to be able to support that growth for our merchants as well. And during the course of the time, one of the things that we've also done is we've done some fantastic strategic partnerships, whether be it with HDFC Bank, with United Overseas Bank, with Network International in Middle East and Africa, which so also gives the sense that we get for the distribution of our product. It makes it more reach, drives more reach for customers to be able to access the platform. But also from a company standpoint, it gives us tremendous brand credibility as well, that we are partnering with some of the largest organizations within the region. Well, that was our journey from PayPal to Shopmatic. If you enjoyed the episode, share it with someone who you think will find value. If you have a question for me or for the company, leave a query and I'll respond to you. And if you like our journeys that much, we'll urge you to download the app. Thank you for taking the time.